Leafs salute their fans, and their fans stay and salute the Leafs. Down 3-1 in the series. They have their first playoff home win, and they're headed for Boston and a big Game 7.
And it's the details. You do whatever you can to contribute. Kuhlman hasn't been able to score, but none bigger a block than that one, and he kills off the rest of the time as the Bruins go back frustrated.
Reimer's playing well, but you know what? In front of him, this unit that's makeshift with some of the injuries and insertions has done an excellent job.
And when you get really good play from all of your defensemen, you move out of your zone quickly. More than that, what I see is that what I like to see is partner play. They're working with one another, one support for the other. They get into position, and they're really playing well, not only as an entire group, but in their pairs.
They're a big family in there right now, and that's really what we try to create, and it's not something that you could say that'll just happen. When you suffer and you have success and you live together and you basically see one another on a day-to-day basis, the peaks and valleys and the blood and sweat and the tears that go with the group bonds them together.
It is Sportsfeld story time. We are picking up. Well, you know what? We're picking up happy.
Yeah.
We're starting Game 7.
Because that's the thing about being down 3-1 in a series. Game 7, you're just like, whatever, man.
Just have a good game.
As the Leafs have proved, or at least they have proved before. Was it 3-1 going against Boston?
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
it was.
It was.
Yeah.
I remember that Game 7 was just like, well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, it was all, even though like we should have won that series last year, it was still kind of a feeling of like, well, they can't hurt us again.
Yeah. I remember feeling like we were playing with house money already.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I remember being like, well, first of all, no one thought we'd win a game in this series.
Yep.
Second of all, after we blew the game at home in Game 4 to go down 3-1, everyone thought we were getting gentleman's sweep. I remember thinking, they're playing so hard, they're playing so well.
Reimer was almost literally unbeatable.
Phil on the road. Reimer's been making 40 saves a night. You know, Reimer gives us a chance to stay in the game, and Phil gives us a chance to win the game.
And as we were alluded to in the last episode, we weren't there yet, but there was the New York Rangers, the 7th seeded New York Rangers waiting. And there was a thought of, if we can get past one game, that Rangers team wasn't very good, we could be in the conference final.
So puck drops on Game 7.
20 seconds into the game, Bruins go 2-on-1 and Reimer has to make a ridiculous save. It was just like, okay.
And the Bruins, pedaled down to start the game, and Matt Bartkowski opens the scoring 6 minutes in. 1-0 Bruins, and I think we were all like, well, it's probably going to go this way.
Yeah.
It felt like, I believe it was Game 3 to me. I was like, oh, here they come. Here comes 5-2.
Especially on the road, too. It's just like, okay.
TD Garden is rocking. But Cody Franzen responds 4 minutes later on the power play. We are tied at 1 after 20 minutes. How are you feeling after 20 minutes? First of all, where are you for this game? Pardon me.
As I said last episode, I was at my friend Adrian and Kale. They were still roommates at this time, I believe. I was at their house. It was the three of us and Kale's partner, Sarah. Sarah did not care about the game at all, which led to some hilarious interactions by people who are still together and have 2 children. I remember being mad about being at the house because I was height of my sports superstitions. Not like now. I had watched games 5 and 6 at the same bar. And I remember saying, to my friends, I was like, we have to go to this bar. And like, no, we have beer at our house and a barbecue. It's a beautiful day. Let's just watch it ours. And Aaron being like, no, we can't. Something wrong will happen.
No.
I
am in Hanover, Ontario at my dad's house.
That's right. You were.
I was not in town.
Because this was also your period of not being able to watch big games with people.
That's right. So I am in Hanover at my dad's apartment. Now, my dad I love him very much. He's a very unique way of watching sports where he would let a half hour go by and then catch up.
Oh, Cassie's parents are like that.
Yes. So that is why.
It drives me fucking crazy.
That's why basically there's no tweets from me until the third period, until we catch up halfway through the game.
I was like further in my sports superstition. I didn't tweet during game 6.
It's the right thing to do.
So in game 7, I was like, I'm not. I don't think I tweeted till the 4th goal of the Bruins. It was just like, Like before we had as our shorthand. I don't know what it was. It was probably something bad. Those tweets are all gone.
Second period, a little tighter. Franzen scores again.
Man,
from in tight, ridiculous.
As bad as the defense was this series, Cody Franzen. Also, to your point about style and how the game has changed, a lot of defense just like standing around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plays in this series where it's just 3 Leafs in the middle of the ice doing nothing.
And I think this game is sort of part and parcel the reason that like for 5 straight years afterwards, it was like the Leafs should go get Cody Franzen again.
Tuukka Rask just
what can you say?
Robs Jake Gardiner when it's
Former Maple Leafs farmhand.
Yes. Trade for Andrew Raycroft. As I was saying this a little bit before we came in here, in rewatching this game, and we've talked this before on the main Sportsfeld show, specifically around the Raptors championship run, and all the little things that have to go right to win a title. Like you think back to, if Kawhi doesn't make this shot, if Kyle doesn't take that charge, whatever. There's a moment in the middle of the second period when the Leafs are up 2-1 and Jake Gardiner is alone in front of the net and just rips a wrist shot, and Rask absolutely robs him with the glove.
Hit him and then took the puck away. Got a man in front. It's Kadri, the trailer. What a save by Rask on Jake Gardiner. Beauty of a glove save.
Right now, the White Sweaters are just jumping all over the ice. They've got a lot of energy. The Bruins struggling to get their legs. And another one battle. Pinch by Franzen. A nice cross-seam pass. And remember this save if the Boston Bruins are back in this game quickly.
And obviously the lead, clearly in this game didn't matter.
Right.
But you think, okay, 3-1 in the middle of the second, all the momentum. And it's just if that goes in, and then a couple minutes later, Milan Lucic and Dion Phaneuf get into a fight.
God, I hated Lucic.
But Dion plays it smart and decides not to drop the gloves. Lucic gets the penalty only. Dion, it's nothing. Another Leafs power play. At the end of that power play, Lupul gets knocked into Tuukka Rask, as I said, crashing the net, knocks off his helmet. Game's super chippy, but the Leafs are taking every punch and throwing them back. If that Gardner goal goes in, it's man, who knows?
After 2, it's 2-1, which is the score of game 5 and game 6.
Yes.
And I am I am approaching peak, I believe. Because as you said, they were taking every punch and they were fighting back. And the team that we believed, the pugnacity, the belligerence, the truculence, that's what was winning them.
I remember walking around my friend's living room. I feel like I might have still been smoking at that time, at least casually. I definitely had a cigarette between the second and third period of this game. I remember standing on their porch and saying over and over, all 3 of us were just repeating a lot of just 20 more minutes. They're 20 minutes away. Just get through 20. There wasn't really a sense of belief yet, though, I don't think, for us. After 2, I was definitely not at that. I was to your point you made about after game 4, the idea of being in overtime in game 7, you would take it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt for 2 periods.
Yeah.
I was if you had told me 10 hours ago that they'd be up 2-1 after 2, I feel like I would hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it was tough because as we established, even in the 2 wins, the 2 previous wins, Boston didn't go away in those games. Boston was the 2-1 wins at the buzzer. You're oh, they might lose. Right. It was it was never, ever sure.
Well, in game 6, I think it was Chara scored with 25 seconds left to make it 2-1. And then the final 25 seconds was just the Leafs hanging on for dear life. I guess they cleared the puck with 10 seconds left. It was just oh boy.
It was one of those things where you can imagine someone tweeting out at that moment through 20, okay, Leafs fans, what will it take to finally be confident? Right?
Yeah.
What will it take for you to believe that they're going to pull this off?
I will say we will get to belief in this game because I did have a minute of it.
Oh, it's coming. The Leafs get after it to start the third period. Phil Kessel scores 2 minutes into the
off
third
of Kessel. To everyone who gave him shit for his whole tenure here, that goal happens because Phil Kessel he of not trying and not caring forechecked. He forechecked the puck, got to JVR, who got it back to Phil. And Phil scores.
Phil Kessel's really good.
Phil Kessel's so good. Is so good. But this year especially, this is when I'm starting to, I'm not going to say starting to believe, but it was so early in the third when he scored. He scored with 17:51 left in the third period, but it was still like, okay.
I still wasn't ready to say it's in the bag.
No, absolutely not.
But it's 3-1, 2 minutes into the third period.
And like, Garden was quiet.
Church.
Stunned quiet.
3 minutes later, Nazem Kadri scores.
Back up the boards. Gardner to Kadri, 2-on-1. Kessel with him. Moving in on the defense. Kessel shoots. Rebound. Kadri scores. Nazem Kadri makes it 4-1 Toronto, 5.5 minutes into the third period.
There's just been so many moments of coming out party for young players in this series. The development of the youngsters for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
First ever playoff goal for Nazem Kadri. 4-1 Toronto.
I think Kadri's goal is the loudest and most I have celebrated a Leafs goal in my life.
This, for me, was get up and jump.
Yeah.
This was holy shit, it's actually happening.
I remember us all very clearly jumping on the couch and hugging and screaming. And it was like, oh, this is the moment where it's like, bring on the Rangers. We have home ice against the Rangers.
It was 4-1.
It was 4-1. I believed the Maple Leaf Square going crazy.
Madness. Who did you call?
Nobody. I was a phone blackout for superstition reasons.
I was texting my roommate at the time, Zach. We were talking about the Rangers, talking about how thin the Rangers were, how it was a miracle.
We'd have home ice.
We would have home ice. And then once you beat the Rangers,
It's just Penguins, and then who knows?
And listen, if the 2013 Maple Leafs lose to the Penguins in the Eastern Conference Final, hey,
That was it.
we had a great year. Sidney Crosby's in his prime. What can you do?
I never actually said the Rangers thought out loud.
I deleted these texts shortly after, but I am living in this moment. I am sure the Maple Leafs are beating the Rangers. Forget the Bruins.
Yeah.
Maple Leafs are beating the Rangers.
Fun fact.
Please.
Kadri scored at 14:31.
Mm-hmm.
At 14:12, the Nesson broadcasters for Boston say the phrase.
The Toronto Maple Leafs, unless they suffer a colossal collapse, are going to eliminate the Boston Bruins.
That's where we were.
100%.
It was at the point where it's like, this is over.
This is like full chests out. Like those of us, I speak about myself and people like me who spent the first 6 games being like, I'm going to be guarded here. I'm going to not go too far. I'm going to, not tempt fate. All that shit was out the window. We are all caps texting.
I think every elimination game, especially in hockey, has those moments of one team usually steps on the other's throat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Kawhi shot is the only buzzer beater in a game 7. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like it's always like, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
That when Kadri scored, that stadium was quiet. They had scored 2 goals in 3 minutes, go up 3 goals in the third period. Phil was involved in both of them because Phil's has that great wrist shot that the rebound goes right to Kadri to go up 4-1.
Yeah.
Forget being up 4-1. You couldn't have scripted a better 4-1 in game 7 situation in your life.
And it felt like, we talked about this a minute ago, about how on the way up, Boston was emptying the bag of dirty tricks. It was like, what can we get them to do? What can Lucic do? How can we...
Again, games 1 and 2 ended in fights, literally at the buzzer fights.
And the fact that the Maple Leafs had weathered that and not stooped and said, we're going to rise. And it was like, they're being rewarded. It's finally happening. They're finally being rewarded. There is 14 minutes left.
There's a great shift from Grabowski right before Phil's the 3-1 goal, where Grabo forechecks the shit out of it. He knocks like 2 guys down. He gets the puck. Rask absolutely robs him, as Rask is wont to do.
Yes.
But it was that felt sort of like the Bruins threw all their tricks at us, And Grabowski's still in the corner, knocking down 2 guys and getting the puck.
It's hard to find a color of how beloved Grabowski was on this team.
It's true. Especially like
he was everything we wanted.
And in retrospect too, the way it all ended, it's like, man, he was folk hero, I think is the term they throw around.
Ryan O'Byrne played 13 minutes in this game.
Yeah, he was bad too. He was bad. He was really bad.
Oh my goodness. There's 14 minutes left in the period. For about 5 minutes of game action, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes in real life, it was pandemonium in my life.
Yeah, same.
It was a dream come true. The Blue Jays weren't shit. Raptors had never been shit. This was it. I was seeing a team I like be successful in a playoff series. A 3-goal lead with 10.5 minutes left. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly happen? After all, it's 10 minutes.
And 42 seconds.
And a 3-goal lead is not even the most dangerous lead in hockey. And it's like, it would be one thing if they came back over the course of the third period. They came back over the course of half.
10 minutes and 42 seconds.
Of a third period. This is the end of us like smiling and laughing here.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the first 2 episodes of this because
it was 4-1.
It was 4-1.
Well,
tune in next week.
Yeah. This is as high as the highs get for us. Next week, the final 10.5 minutes of the third period.
TD Garden and the team that plays in it are stunned. There's Joffrey Lupul. And I wonder now if they'll have the spirit for one last push, down by 3 goals. Great cycle game here right now, and Matt Pratt just about drew a penalty as his sweater was tugged on by Pepperlin.
Want a great third period by Toronto FC tonight? That's a good 2013 joke.
That's a good 2013
That's
joke.
a good 2013 joke.